And let's get going. So today we're looking at the scripting and structuring videos that actually convert. So here what's important for us is that we get some calls to action, that we get people that turn from viewers into leads into clients. That's your pipeline. So as we know from, I might really, not might, I will go very heavy into YouTube, but know that a lot of the principles that we discuss on YouTube are going to translate over to your TikToks, to your Instagram, to your Facebook, to any other social media platform, to LinkedIn, any place that accepts video. The elements, the structure is going to be similar. What you use, the vocabulary, the verbiage, that's going to change slightly, right? So, as an example, on YouTube, you wouldn't necessarily say, "Hey, DM me for additional information." Well, there's no DM feature on YouTube. That is more of a TikTok. That's more of an Instagram. That's more of a Facebook. Just some nuances here and there. So again, well, we're going to hone in more on the YouTube side of things on how to make that work. Understand that just some verbiage might need some altering if you're going to make your Facebook your video first platform, which there's nothing wrong with that. Just understand that that's what we're going to get into. So I'm going to go, we're going to cover the real estate video outlines that are actually working. So we're going to go the simplest way that we can, which is hook, value, CTA. So call to action. And I'm going to give you two very real examples right now. And if we need more, by all means, I have over 150 in front of me that I can pull in pretty easily. So we can get into that. We're going to look into how we're going to balance educational content with lead generating CTA. So we're going to go into hit that sweet spot that actually works. So the two polar extremes are this: making information that has no relevancy to your audience. So essentially, you're creating topics that don't matter to your end user. So one of the extreme examples that I like to give is if you're recording content as a real estate agent, hoping that you get real estate clients. If you're recording content on YouTube, as an example, on how to replace a toilet, well, you're going to get plumbing calls for you to come over and do the plumbing, as opposed to, hey, can you come over and list my house? That is an example of making content that doesn't speak to your avatar, to your audience, to the end result that you want. But if you go to the other extreme where you're sell, 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 hey, use me, I'm the best real estate agent. If you're looking to buy, call me. If you're looking to sell, call me. If you're looking for X, Y, and Z, call me. If your parents die and there's probate, call me. If you're going into the extreme salesy, understand that that's also not going to work. So finding that balance between a call to action and the topic that is relevant to your audience, that's what we're discussing today. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to go into scripting. We're going to talk about bullet points versus word for word. Now, because of the introduction of ChatGPT, which I have it pulled up ready to go, this is the least of our problems. This is the least of our issues today. So as you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and also feel free to contribute. I'm still nursing from being sick, so any break into the show would be welcome, so we can get some rest. Now, one thing that I just kind of want to bring back up here is mastering on camera confidence. We talked about this last week, but if I could summarize our conversation from last week, your desire for success should overshadow your fear of failing. A lot of us have reservations on getting onto video. At the end of the day, nobody was born with the camera in their face. Well, maybe this newer generation, sure, but right now for us, a lot of us have overcome that fear. Not because we're brave or anything, it's more because we fear failing. So when it comes to being on video, it doesn't come organically. And a lot of folks here that started from basically never being on camera. I'm looking at, I feel very confident saying Lore, somebody that started relatively new with video until he got into his business world, into his real estate business, which has absolutely exploded. Well, video's been a strong component of that. Franco, I mean, many of you know who Franco is. He's got about 125,000 subscribers, 22, 23 million views, and is closing over 10 transactions per month. He started from zero, just like us, and but now he's able to rattle off hours and hours of content every single week pretty comfortably, right? So again, our desire for success should overshadow our fear of failing. That's the summary, and that's the only thing that we're going to reference from last week in mastering our on-camera confidence. Now, in order for me to really appropriately set the structure for scripting and structuring, I have to really set the stage for our core four are four things that you need to be mindful of, which again we're gonna teach for YouTube today. In other situations, we're gonna talk about YouTube. I'm sorry, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. But right now, I'm gonna teach more for YouTube today for the principles of the video that's gonna work. Understand that a lot of these are gonna translate directly over into those social media platforms. But for right now, let's talk about the core four and how we're gonna approach these. Number one, the thing that's going to dictate 80% of your success on YouTube and in video is going to be your topic selection. If you're making the wrong types of video, you're going to not see success. You're not going to have people reach out to you. And we'll talk about topic selection. We've talked about topic selection in the past. That's going to be the least of our conversation today. But it's important that we understand the right types of videos are going to get you the right types of results. The second thing that's very valuable with your YouTube journey here as you're making videos is going to be your thumbnail. Think of it from the consumer standpoint. The viewer logs into YouTube and the first thing that they see on their screen, whether it's desktop or mobile, they're going to see the browse videos. These videos are ones that YouTube shows to the user. These are your browse. These are the ones that just show up right there. So on the back end, YouTube is doing its best to figure out who your audience is. So it's your responsibility to train the algorithm by providing the right type of topic that's going to ultimately resonate with the viewer that logs into YouTube. So a lot of that is happening on the background. The viewer, though, the viewer for the most part, unless they're purposefully searching for the content, for the most part, they're logging into YouTube and whatever's coming out comes out. So their first exposure to you is going to be based off of the thumbnail. Again, this is assuming that they didn't go in and search how to buy a house in Wisconsin, right? And there, I would suggest that you make that house if you're in the Wisconsin market and any market, because that's going to be your anchor video. But we've talked about that in the past, so we're not going to go into that today. From a viewer perspective, the first thing that they're seeing is that thumbnail. But here again, they don't necessarily know, or a lot of folks, I guess, have realized that the algorithm feeds them what they want. That's why TikTok has gone so viral, so it's so successful. The algorithm just absolutely nails it. YouTube as well is pretty darn close. So here from the viewer perspective, what's happened on in the background, they don't necessarily know the ins and outs of it, nor do we. However, when they go onto YouTube, now the first exposure to you has been the thumbnail. So we need to get that thumbnail right. It needs to match the topic that you have covered pretty closely, and also needs to attract the viewer's eyeballs so they can stop scrolling on their phone. So again, the thumbnail is going to be their first exposure to you. Their second exposure to you is going to be the title. Once your thumbnail does its job and it attracts people's attention, then the title comes next, right? So they see the thumbnail. Now their eyes immediately go to the title. What's this interesting title, a thumbnail about? They're going to read the title. If the title either tells them exactly what the video is about, that's important to them, or creates enough curiosity for them, you're going to earn that click. So again, I'm using this from the viewer perspective because sometimes we just willy-nilly make up videos and then just have no rhyme or reason of why we're doing this. So we're going to go in reverse, and we're going to look at the audience-led views versus any content that we're going to be putting out there. So from a viewer perspective, the topic that you created ended up getting suggested or put on browse by YouTube. Now the viewer now sees the thumbnail, then they read the title, and there's enough either value for them that they either create curiosity, you create a curiosity, or it answers a specific question that they had coming in. Well, now the next step is they're going to click on that video. So the next 30 seconds are absolutely crucial for you. Meaning, at this point, the topic did what it was supposed to, the thumbnail did what it was supposed to, the title did what it was supposed to. Now you're going to do what you're supposed to by nailing the first 30 seconds. If you can keep your audience, if you can keep it at least 70% of your audience in your video within the first 30 seconds, you're going to have a really successful YouTube channel and a very successful video. So that is a framework that I wanted us to understand right here as we go into the actual scripting and structuring. So it gives you a better sense of why we're doing this the way that we are.
Jaime,
Any questions?
Jaime, yeah,
Yeah,
I want to just provide a little bit of, I think it'll help everybody.
please.
If you can let me share my screen, then I
Of
could show an
course.
actual live example. Because we've been using this now on YouTube. They gave now the ability to split test things directly. And I've seen a huge difference. Like this weekend, I did a willy-nilly title. I'm like, I don't have time to think. I'm just gonna do it, whatever. And it was crap, the conversion was like not working. So then I took a moment and I really sat down and figure out what is it that I wanted to say, through the word collapse, and everybody wants to collapse, and the video was able to get back up. It is crazy because how many times can you say collapse and people still want to look at that? So let me share this example. It's a real life example. Can you see it there?
Yes.
Oops. Uh, okay. So, I mean, and this was more than anything, the thumbnail, right? The thumbnail is what exploded here. I guess people like the arrow with Jerome Powell in the back and money flowing and flying, more than pissed off, in the background, Jerome Powell. And I'll translate real quick. And I'm exploring now doing the dubbing because now YouTube allows dubbing. But they were doing that before, but it was with someone else's voice. I'm like, I don't want that, but maybe my voice would work. So the first title says the Fed couldn't do it. The interest rates went up. Um, what's happening is not sustainable. That's kind of the first title, right? So with that kind of thumbnail, you could see it got 54% more likes. And then the other one says the real estate market is being affected. The Fed made a mistake with the interest rates and now they go up. But obviously they like the arrow and the money flying, the people. So that's just so you have a sense how important this is. And to me, these are old thumbnails. I just repurposed them. That thumbnail on the top didn't say Redfin before, and I just kind of put Redfin on it because it was a Redfin article I was reading, and then it shows. And for me, like a good video is we can generate 20,000 views overnight. That's a good video, and anything below that is below standard. So just I thought that would be a perfect kind of a example. And again, it doesn't even, I mean, it does matter because then we have the retention elements. But if you have a great video, but a shit thumbnail and a shit title, no one's gonna go look at it, unfortunately. And even up to like last weekend, I'm like, if I don't take the time to really think through the thumbnail and the title, it'll give me shitty result. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, you gotta put the work on that. So, and like Jaime said, and I think you talked about this before, Jaime, is very important. And now I try to do this as much as possible. When I'm creating a video, I'm already thinking, what is the thumbnail and the title gonna be? What are the hooks, that I have to talk about and how you get people engaged. So anyways, I just wanted to share the title.
Thank you. No, that's huge. That's huge. Any questions on what Franco just shared? Because that is absolutely gold right there. So again, for context, his channel is about 200, 123, 25,000 subscribers overnight. Just you're pretty comfortably getting anywhere from 20 to 50,000 views. Um, so any questions on that? Because that's a real life example of how huge the difference can be. Awesome. 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 We'll keep it going. So thank you on that one, Franco. That is incredible. Let's do this. Let's show a big portion. So again, what Franco was referencing here was these two elements right now. So the topic, he already had a sense that it was going to pop off. He already had a sense that it was necessary because, and the audience, proved it there. But when he went and did the split testing on the thumbnail, you saw the extreme results. So 54% is pretty extreme versus 46. And then the title also is something that you can now split test on certain channels right now. It hasn't been rolled out to everybody, more on the larger channels. That's what you can do on the split testing for the titles, but thumbnails, that it has been rolled out to every channel if you're looking to do that. Now, let's talk about the actual structure. So let's talk about the scripting and structuring the videos that are going to actually convert. So for us, the way that we go about creating the video is pretty formulaic. So number one, we look at the hook. Number two, we have a reinforcement statement. So reaffirming that they're in the right place or confirming that they're in the right place. Going into the agenda, which this is all supposed to be more like adding to each other. So the agenda, and then we go straight into the main content. Last, followed by a CTA. So again, we go into the hook. So really giving a reason for them to care. Remember, they're coming in here from the topic that was randomly suggested to them, or not randomly, algorithmically suggested to them. The thumbnail stood out, the title stood out. So you have the first 30 seconds, actually far less than that, the first 5 seconds, to make it known that they're in the right place, to reaffirm the click, or they're going to bounce out. And the quicker that somebody bounces out of your content, of course, the more negative signals that it gives to the algorithm. So it's going to stop getting suggested to throughout YouTube. So again, if you start a video, well, let's go through an example of this. So hook. So essentially means giving a strong statement, grab attention quickly. Let's not him and haw. Let's not introduce who we are. Let's not introduce any of that stuff right now. That's not material right now. We have time for that later when we earn some trust. Right now, we got to get straight into it. So as an example on this one, not all home renovations add value to your home's value. In fact, some renovations can even make your home's value decrease. Right. So and I'll show you a full context entire one here. I just want to go into the molecular of it. So giving you the exact structure here. Um, so reinforcement. So this was our opener. This was us making creating our hook, creating a bold statement, creating a reason to stay. The second is the reinforcement. So our second line doesn't need to be as long as this one, actually. It just needs to reinforce and confirm that they're in the right place. Remember, the topic showed up for them. The title, I'm sorry, the thumbnail stood out to them. The title confirmed that they wanted to get some additional information. And then now they're here on your video, and they're about 10 seconds into the first introduction of you. Before you start knocking down walls or upgrading your kitchen, let's talk about which renovations actually increase your home's value and which ones are a waste of cash. Right? So these are the same things that you would tell your clients already, but again, we're just leading with why this is important, why they need to pay attention. They're going to go into what's in it for them throughout the video. So they're not, especially if it's a long video, if it's a 12-minute video, 15-minute video, 20-minute video, they're not going to sit there and wait those 12 minutes to see if there's actually enough information here that they care for. You're going to give them basically a summarized version, the agenda of what's going to be covered in this video. Hey, in this video, I'm going to break down the top renovations that give you the best return on investment, the ones that seem like a good idea but don't add much value, and how to make smart renovation choices before selling your home. Right? So by the time they're 30 seconds in, if that, I'm being generous here, by the time they're in the first 30 seconds, they'll know if this video is for them or not. And ideally, if you did your job right of selecting the right topic, getting a thumbnail that sticks out, and as Franco was illustrating there, is the difference between a thumbnail is massive. For him, it's essentially hundreds of thousands of impressions and tens of thousands of views. For us, it might not be as extreme, but it's even more important for us because we don't have as much traffic. And I'm generalizing. Maybe if somebody has a bigger channel, then of course you're excluded. But from this context, we realize how important it is that we put some thought at the very beginning. Any questions before we get into the rest of this? Because I really, this is the main part of our conversation. I don't want us to miss it. Is this how you're structuring your videos? Or let me ask it this way. Do you have a structure to your videos? Let's do that. Let me know in the comment or unmute yourselves because I think this is important. And also testing if you're awake. Do you have a structure to your videos? Is there a rhyme or reason to how you construct your videos, or whatever falls off the truck is what falls off the truck? Laura, I'm going to pick on you. Do you have a structure?
Yeah, for the most part, yes, I do. Always, like you said, start with a hook, and then I do that boring stuff where I do a little quick intro about the channel for people who have never been there before. And then I usually get into the content and then the outro,
Have you always done it that way?
pretty much.
Awesome.
I probably got to change it up though.
Awesome. 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 Do you look at your analytics much?
Not really.
Okay. Fair.
No, but I'm sure like the views stop once you do the intro, right? Just like how when we watch videos, as soon as somebody does that, most of the time if it's not interesting, we're out, right? So I should probably stop doing the intro thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I did make corrections to my structure, and this is how I've been doing it. Awesome. Yes, I do about the same. Awesome. 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 All right. So notice that here, there's not really an intro. Now, I give you the option. As Laura was mentioning, there's an intro there, and you're right. There's going to be a drop off. Whenever you go onto your stats or whenever you go onto your studio, you're going to see parts where there's some dips and there's a rebound. So basically, it's kind of like a little, um, it's like a little hole, like a little divot. The part that dips is because they fast forwarded and are trying to skip through it. There's two places where that happens primarily. Number one is on intros. So, hey, my name is Jaime Resendez. I work the Dallas Fort Worth market. I've been in real estate for 10 years. I've earned blah, 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 whatever, whatever, whatever. Then, if I spend that amount of time introducing myself, we're going to see that little dip. Ideally, we have them come back, but what happens is the moment that the dip happens, even if it's a subtle one, it's never going to come back to 100%. So you've lost a lot of the audience. So at that point, they're out, or they fast forwarded to try to get to the meat and potatoes. So that's what's going to happen. So in intros, expect that graph with ads. So the moment that you start pitching, the moment that you start advertising, the moment that you may not have video sponsors yet, and some of you might, but the moment that you start pitching and things of that nature, you have to be so cerebral with them, because again, the same dip is going to happen and it's never going to come back to the same amount, right? So whenever you see a dip, it's going to come back, but not to the extent that it was from the beginning. So that's where, again, from the intro, the most that I say, if we're just meeting, my name is Jaime Resendez. Welcome to DFW Homeowner, where you're going to find real estate information that no one else is sharing with you. So that's about 5 to 6 seconds, and then I keep it moving, and that's it. So then I go straight into the content. So by the time that we hit here, we should be about 30 seconds into it, telling them exactly what we need to tell them. So we're teaching, we're telling stories, showing visuals. So we're going to talk about the top ROI boosting renovations. I told them that that's exactly what we're going to cover, right? So I'm delivering on what I shared with them. The renovations that might not be worth it. So here, sharing some aspects that are probably not going to be worth it. The ones that are low cost, but then have big results. So here, what I would argue, I would even talk about, I should probably reword up here, is that giving them a little bit more of an incentive to stay. I should probably do more of a payoff statement here, which a payoff statement, basically, if you stick with me to the end, I'm going to give you the number one upgrade that you can make that's going to increase the highest return on investment. So that's a payoff statement. So they're giving them a reason to stay to the end. Why? Well, because I'm encouraging them to stay to the end, because it's going to increase my average view duration. People are going to stay on that longer because there's a win at the end of the rainbow. Does that make sense? Kim, are you on YouTube at the moment? No? This is going to be your first go at it?
No, I'm not. I'm actually starting a Facebook and Instagram first.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
The principles are absolutely the same.
Yeah, and then I'll go into the shorts before I start the long form.
The hook is going to be the most important thing with your shorts. absolutely the most important thing because they're with YouTube, you're gonna have about 3 seconds to win them. With the short form, you're gonna have 1.5. You're gonna have no time at all because for them, it's so easy to just get out of that video. Very easy. They can just scroll down and they're on to the next one. With YouTube, they actually have to work. It's silly to say that they actually have to work, but they actually have to work to get out, X out, and find another video. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If they just go to the end, how does that affect the video? It's going to decrease the watch time.
I mean, you
It's
want me
going to
to
decrease
show
the
you
watch time.
a live example again?
What's that, Franco?
You want me to show a live example of this?
Yeah, no, that's huge. Again, that's perfect. No, thank you so much. This is helpful.
Let's show it.
Let's show Franco some love because he absolutely does not have to do this. So thank you, Franco, because we're talking about I really can't oversell what Franco has created in terms of his business, but what you're seeing on the screen is what a lot of the YouTube coaches out there are charging thousands of dollars for this type of insight. Go ahead, Franco.
I'll show this and then I'll explain for this. To me, this goes beyond, can you see it?
Right there.
Yeah. So this is why I always say what matters most is consistency. There I'm in see the background. I was in I think it was in Hawaii in this one. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't care what happens. I'm gonna do the video and the background and how you look and the lighting doesn't really matter that much, right? It's still the consistency. So when you look at over here, what Jaime was talking about, they're still watching after 30 seconds. And you can see the numbers. It breaks down the views, the average duration and the average percentage of the video watched. And I look at this and I'm looking at it to learn from the last video. And you see how that one has more views and average duration 11 minutes. And yeah, the title is important. For some reason, every time I put Donald Trump, people listen and they want to watch the controversial about Donald Trump. I think I have him there in 4 of my top 5 videos at this state. That one also 35,000 views and 10 minutes of them watching, and then when I see the thing goes below the 75, 76%, like that one, and I remember that one, I was just like, okay, I don't have time to really think. I'm just gonna do a quick video. And it shows, it shows the amount of foresight or how you prepare it. And to me, one of the key things that you guys need to know is also it helps to see what's trending. And to see what's trending, it makes a huge difference, because then you're relevant to the topic of right now. I did a video on Monday about the government shutdown or Friday, sorry. And then on Monday, I'm like, what am I gonna talk about? What am I gonna talk about? Then Donnie, he came through and he's like, now I'm gonna do tariffs to China. So I'm like, Donald says, tariffs to China and it creates views because that's what was trending. And so I think that's very important that you look at after you do a video, if you have the way of looking at statistics, look at them. I do this every week and it keeps me on point. And that's why when I talk to Jaime, it's like, 20,000 has to be the minimum. And why I sustain it is because I'm doing that little formula. Not only recording it, doing it, but going back and watching it and seeing the retention on it. So that's a quick little share. I think that's
Can you stay on that? That is golden. Can you stay on it? Can you show us that the peaks and valleys is what we were talking about earlier on your retention? Can you show that peak right left to that? Can you click right of that, the larger peak?
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I want people to see what will contribute to that. So right leading up to that point, if you want to just mute it, that's fine. Because we're not going to be able to hear it anyway. But if you hit play from there, so look in, zone in on that. Notice what caused a bit of a spike. Notice why you see that peak. That means that people came back and watched it over. That means it was a rewatch. That's going to give you a big indicator on your videos. That's a huge hint. Like, in fact, that's not even a hint. That's actually It's pretty obvious there, right? So what he introduced a visual where people came in and tried to do it, not tried, did a double take, literally did a double take. You're going to notice a lot of those patterns when that happens. The moment that he introduced the B-roll, relevant B-roll, let me just be clear, so don't just throw anything on there. So B-roll is basically something else in the camera shot with either replacing Franco's face altogether or him incorporated in there as well.
Franco, Jaime, that was the stats right here. I'm showing the stats, so they're re-watching the stats of what
Yep.
happened, you know? Let's
Yeah.
do this one.
So
They wanna take a double click on the stuff.
So you're seeing even right there, he's putting some lower thirds there, which is what those text that's called right there. So people are coming back and rewatching that. So if you're looking for engagement hits, this tips, you're looking at two very, very powerful ones right now. You're looking at the B-roll and you're looking at lower thirds. And again, this is not a YouTube masterclass. That's on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Central, but that is so telling. That's one of the most visual things. It's the easiest things that you could do for your videos to increase your engagement.
Okay.
Thank you
So-
for that, Franco.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Any questions on that? I want to make sure that you're since we have Franco here, I want to make sure that we're able to leverage his knowledge as much as possible. So if you have any questions on retention or anything like that, please feel free to unmute or comment below. We'll make sure to address them. Alrighty, so content, and then we get to the calls to action. So here we're looking at just a soft call to action, which is basically an engagement call to action, commenting down below, or a direct call to action, which is basically asking them to do a specific task that's gonna allow you to collect the information. So either a soft CTA, say basically just comment below if you're still if you made it to this part of the video. Direct call to action basically is where you start collecting leads, start collecting business. Click on the link below for my investment ROI calculator. Right. So these are very, very, very easy strategies. It could not get simpler on how to actually bring in leads. So you're having the hook, which is going to be in the intro. You're providing the value, and then you're having a CTA, call to action, what you expect them to do next. Questions on the structure, question on the scripting. Awesome. Let's start at one from the very beginning. So if you're part of Creator Agents, which is our program, this is this is going to look very similar to you, because this is what we provide to our agents that are on our program. So we get the topic selection that's trending. So we track about 1,400 channels on the back end, and we know at this point what trends when it trends. So we're able to identify those and pass those topics on to our agents. Now, this one was one that we did, I think in February or so, probably earlier. How much home can you afford with a $100,000 salary? So this was a topic. This was generally the essence of it. And then we provide different topics to consider, different titles to consider whenever you're titling this video. So how much home can you afford with a $100,000 salary in Denver? What a $100,000 salary gets you in Phoenix's housing market? Can you buy your dream home with a $100,000 salary in Miami? The answer is no. So you're looking at all these different top titles that you can essentially use for this topic of a video. And then we give the reason that we're actually making this video. So this goes basically, again, we're going off of the same principles here. We're going off of the principles of getting the topic right. That's why we spend so much money and so much time and resources getting these topics out to our creators, because we know that if they make the right type of topic, 80% of the time, they're going to win. So here we spend so much time educating and sharing with our creators why and how we're doing this, or why to do this is a better way of saying that. Now we get into the exact same framework. The exact same framework that I just gave you is the exact same framework that our hundreds of creators use. Hook, reinforcement, agenda, content, CTA. the exact same thing, right? So for this particular video, are you currently making $100,000 a year? How much home how much home can you realistically afford? Affordability is a big concern in today's real estate market. Now, these are the best way to do this is whenever we send out the topics, since everybody has a different voice, what we do is we get this. Let me zoom out because this is very, very tedious. We get these talking points for those that are natural talkers, if you will. They have no issue just taking this and rewording it for themselves. The individuals that need a specific word by word, play by play, what do I say? Then we encourage them to go over to ChatGPT. Can you build out a YouTube script with a bit more assertiveness? And my market being Denver, Colorado. We just copy that in there. And if you want something more passive, if you want something more direct, if you want something softer, if you want something, whatever your personality is, you can match it with 5 seconds worth of work, which is essentially just copying and pasting over here. Are you making $100,000 a year and are wondering how much home that really buys you in Denver? Let's break it down because blah, blah, blah. Affordability, what you're going to cover, the body, the information, and then calls to action. Right? Any questions on that? That is essentially the entire framework that we're using for scripting, the entire framework that's allowing our creators to actually just skyrocket it and start collecting business left and right. Alrighty. And the other point, which I probably should have put up here, you can do the bullet point method, which is the method that I use. I essentially just give myself bullet points similar to what you're seeing on the screen, and then I just go from there. It's more of an outline. Basically, I use it as the presentation, get some keywords that I want to cover, and then I go off from there. Now, if you're the word by word person where you need to read things off the script, that's okay. No big deal. I just showed you dumping it onto us. ChatGPT or Claude, which is actually the one that I would recommend if you're doing anything written, is going to work out well. And then just having a $25 teleprompter handy to actually be available to you, so you're reading off of the script directly and looking straight into the camera. You're going to be in a really good spot. So Big View is the one that I actually recommend. I no longer use teleprompters. I used to. But it is the one that when I was in the teleprompter game or the scripting game, that was the exact same one that I was using. All right, so final thoughts, final questions, comments, concerns before we wrap it on up. Anybody out there going to create some interesting videos here shortly?
So it would be the same, like you said, the same outline for a Facebook or an Instagram type of video.
Very similar here.
Mhm.
So if you're using a short form, you're basically just going to do the same hook value CTA. So because there you're looking at 30 to 60-second videos. Longer videos, you're using the exact same method as well, but you're going to be making longer videos, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 10-minute videos. So yes, to answer your question, yes, whether you're going to use this video for LinkedIn, whether you're going to use this video for Facebook, anywhere that you're going to place a video, the exact same framework exists.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome blossom. Alrighty, crew. Well, I will let you to it. So remember, on Tuesdays, we go live. Next Tuesday, we're going to go filming like a pro without fancy gear. So I'm going to show you. It's actually going to be the perfect time to show you because I'm going to actually be on location. not location. I'm gonna not be in office. I'll be attending a conference. So you will see how to film like a pro without professional gear because I won't take it with me. Then we're gonna go into editing. So expect a really good training there on how we're gonna go about editing, so you can edit if you maybe if you enjoy doing it but want to do it at a higher level, or maybe the budget right now isn't there to hire somebody to do it on your behalf. Outside of that, I think we are good to go. I hope to see you next week at 10 a.m. Central next Tuesday. Outside of that, have a great weekend or great week. Thank you.